So hello, I'm Frederick Dunn, and today we're going to be getting swarms, and we're going to get a swarm out of this tall tree, and I'm going to demonstrate a highly portable vacuum system in which to do it. So you're going to want to watch the whole thing. I'm going to go over all the details. Look at that swarm. It was too high. I had to put up a 10-foot ladder. 8-foot ladders don't even make it. But if you're going to climb a ladder like this, what would you use to get that swarm out of that tree? Look at it up there. Well, I have a Colorado BVAC, and I like that a lot. It served me very well, but I have to plug it in somewhere. You always have to have 120-volt electricity and then run extension cords. And for me, that's a couple hundred feet in some cases. And recently, I fell short by about 3 feet, even when I use all of my leftover extension cords here. What if there was something else that we could use? Oh, look, there is. The Go-Getter Everything Bee-Vacuum. I was watching a video by Randy McCaffrey. You may know him on YouTube as 628 Dirt Rooster. He was using this for cutouts, and I thought, you know what? This could be just the ticket. This thing is battery powered, portable. You put it on your back, you can climb stuff, and it comes with all the gear here. I got the Go-Getter Everything BVAC system. It's even got a little controller that goes on your shoulder. I'm going to show you every detail. And the top of this right here has the motor, the battery pack, and the circuit board that runs everything. And it's even labeled for you if you forget. And it's got this spring-loaded retractable controller that goes on your shoulder there on the strap. That's right, I got the harness too. And it even comes with this weird-looking little yellow fanny pack, which is really good. Why? Because you're going to keep all your stuff in one place, and you're not going to run around hunting it all. Listen to that. Look at the controller. I put it on my left side because I'm going to use my left hand to control it, and I'm going to use my right hand to hold that vacuum. And you know what? It's pretty quiet too, so I think it's getting its suction pretty much from the high velocity motor that's in it. I don't know any details about the motor, but it's certainly strong enough, and I can change it if I need it. And that's the whole system right there. This thing's ready to go. I don't think you can find something more portable, but we're going to test it out. I'm going to put it on my back, and I'm going to climb this ladder, and we're going to get that swarm out of that tree. Guess what happened? They flew away and left me here. Did you see that? The tree was empty. They left in less than an hour. So let's go over some details. Look at this. It swivels without any resistance. That's pretty nifty. And this is the long one. So they have a long intake tube and a short one. And look at this where it plugs in. There's a blast gate here that you close, and when you close it, it's got holes in it. So your bees can breathe if it's not running, and your bees won't get out when you're done. And look, here's the exhaust port. And this looks like a non-corrosive screen, which is very important. And you can control the velocity with the controller. No big surprise there. And this is where your remote control plugs in. And you can retract it. It's spring-loaded. And you screw this off. Look inside. What do we have? Looks like some corrugated material. And again, hopefully, corrosion-resistant screen there, which keeps things from fouling your motor. And it looks like it's got gaskets here that seal things up. If you lose vacuum on this, make sure to check to make sure that you've got that sealed up well. And inside, it looks like they've got the cutoff portion of the bottom of another bucket. And then they put some kind of velvet material in here, or felt. I'm not sure what it is, but that holds it in place so that air goes through and so it doesn't fall down. And what keeps it from falling down? The chicken wire that's down in here. And the chicken wire looks like it's corrosion resistant. I put a magnet on it and it's magnetic. So if it's stainless steel, it's got to be 400 series stainless because that would be magnetic. And that gives your bees a place to cling to. The other thing is where the blast gate feeds in there, make sure your chicken wire doesn't run across in front of it or you'll be chopping up your bees as they go through there. And we have the backpack on here. It's padded. Feels really comfortable. So I was impressed by that. And you strap it on with Velcro. See that? Perfectly adjustable. And I strap it on nice and low because I don't want to tilt my head back and hit the vacuum cleaner. So, and you can strap it and change it to any direction, left hand, right hand use, whatever you want to do. And you can pull the Velcro off if you don't want to use the backpack. And look, they put the instructions right in here just in case you lost them. So allmybees.com is where you can get it. Go and get one. Use my name and pay the same as everybody else. So in this little fanny pack here that's on the side, I put the charger. That's right, I don't want to lose my stuff. And I mark it BVAC because I've got a lot of chargers around, adapters. And then that's where the controller goes in the small packet. Just unclip it from your shoulder strap there, retract it all the way in. It's spring loaded as I mentioned before, and then you just stick it right in the small packet there. You know what? I don't want to run around looking for bits and pieces, and this unit is pretty darn practical for that because it's all together. So we've got the bucket, the motor, the screens. Make sure it's nice and sealed tight, and you can load this in your car and take off and respond to a swarm anywhere. Now let's look at this hose because I have concerns about hoses when bees are going to pass through them. Needs to be smooth on the inside, and guess what? This one is. Pleasantly surprised. So the bees don't get a rough ride through there. Don't you dare put your bees through a regular shop vac hose. So I'm going to use the long one, and we're going to get a swarm out of that tree because this hive right here, see the queen? They swarmed on me. That's right. And so I have another swarm out in the tree. I can go and get them right now. Now I've got my vented flow bee jacket on for this one with a clear view. And now I just put on the kit. Look, chest strap, everything else. Controller. I'm ready to go. Let's get a swarm out of a tree. What do you say? So it's way up there. I'm going to advise you to use caution when you're climbing ladders for stuff like this. But with something like this, everything BVAC, you put it on your shoulders and you're self-contained and you can climb things. That doesn't mean you should be unsafe. So I'm going to go up there and test it out, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion about it. So here's the swarm. This is a lot of bees. I don't want to let them go. It's June. We know that a swarm in June is worth a silver spoon, so let's get up there and get them. And we clamber up there. I'm at the top of my 10-foot ladder. Top 2 rungs there. Got to hold on to the tree. And just reach over and turn on the remote control, and the vac will be running. And this thing is pretty quiet too, by the way. I didn't feel like I needed hearing protection. Probably you should. I don't know. I didn't put a decibel meter on it to find out how loud it is. But remember, I'm running it at a low speed, just enough to get the bees to go into it. So I had my camera off center here a little bit, of course. I thought I had it in the sun there, aiming right at the cluster of bees. We know that this is their bivouac location and they can cut out at any time, so having equipment that you can just grab and go will be very important when it comes to collecting swarms early in the year. That's because they have a tendency to move on pretty fast. Now I will say this. I like the extensions that are on the hose there. They're kind of flat, and I noticed that the bees do kind of bunch up in that. You could turn the vacuum up higher to pull that through and get that clear. And I kind of wish they had included an option with a round intake tube, because for situations like this, I think you get a lot more bees and a lot less time with the round one with low pressure. Now, it really did prove to be an advantage to be able to turn the intake tube at any direction, any angle, especially when you're working around branches like this. Pretty darn handy. And of course, I used the long one because I'm at the top of my ladder already, and the bees are just barely in reach, so it wouldn't hurt to have an extension tube and a round intake. So maybe even a more rigid extension to it, that I could get another couple of feet out of that. But it's working great. The other thing that was interesting is that I could feel my back warming up. So as the bees were filling the bucket, I could feel the heat against my back from the bees that were massing inside of it. So that was pretty interesting. Now with the Colorado BVAC, I look at the exhaust on it and I can tell when I have the queen because I'll see bees flying around the exhaust on the Colorado BVAC. Well, in the case of the Everything BVAC, guess where the exhaust is? Right behind your head. So what starts happening is you'll have bees flying around your head and around your back and shoulders once you get the queen inside. And I've got some information about that too, because I did kind of make a mistake with it. I'm all done. We got the bees out of the tree and we need to get down from this ladder without falling. But I wanted to get the last few, so I went up near the top, and if I fall, I'm just going to grab the tree. Climb down that way. Nice tall blue spruce tree. And you can idle the vacuum, so it's very important that while you've got bees in it, of course, you leave it running because that's our air source and we want it to circulate through. And I'm going to show you how to get the bees out of your vacuum. Let's just get out of this tree without falling down. So here it is, idling nice and low. And here's another thing that I wish I had done. See the bees that are collecting on the outside of it? And I'm looking back at the tree and they're not clustering on branches. That's another indicator that you probably have the queen in here. But I wish I'd kept it running and used that hose to vacuum the bees off of the outside of the vac first. So instead I jumped the gun here, I disconnected the remote control, and I'm going to unscrew it with bees all over the top. So not the brightest move on my part, but the second swarm that I got, that's right, I've already collected 3 swarms with it. I would vacuum them off the top and then shut it down. And when you shut it down, you got to pull the hose right away and you have to get the top off. There is venting through the gate as we showed earlier. And now you're going to see how many bees we have inside, and the game here is not to put your fingers on any bees while you're taking off the top. And now they're vented. You could transport them right back in your car if you were out somewhere remote and collected these, but look what's going on. All these bees are collecting on top of it, and they're smelling the queen's pheromones. So that's good and bad. Good because I know I got the queen. Bad because I have a lot of bees on the outside that now I have to contend with. So I recommend putting them inside your car, inside a shed or something like that before you take the lid off. And of course you leave your vacuum idling up until you get to that point so you have air movement. And that double screen there is also seems to be corrosion resistant. I know the screws are. And so it should not rust. That's the good news. We're going to be putting them in a double nucleus hive box, 5/5. And I'm going to install them in a different way. And by that I mean a way that most people don't. Most people dump them in. And I know there's another video or two out there that have an adapter plate that you can put on top and put it right on your hive body. I'm not doing that. I'm doing a non-shake installation method. That's right. I'm going to have the bees go into the hive on their own, and I'm going to demonstrate it step by step. It's one of the things I like to do when it comes to bee vacs, and even when I collect bees in butterfly nets and things like that, I like to get them to walk into the space. Now there's no bait, there's no feed inside this hive. There are some frames of drawn comb, and I want to get the bees, I want to get their influencers in there. I do not see the queen. If you see the queen, please put the timestamp down because that would be really cool. All I saw was evidence that the queen was present, and that's because of the Nasonos glands that were all going, which tell me that they're convinced that she's in there. So I thought once I did that, the rest of them would just smell those pheromones and zip right up that 100% cotton cloth that's hanging off the front. I thought it was a stroke of genius to clamp that on there, and the bees would go right in, but guess what? They didn't. They clustered on the front. They hung out down here where the cover is. They're all inside. And the weather's changing. We've got rain on the way. The skies are darkening. Not just that, this is late in the day. And these are the bees clustered over the entrance. Sometimes this happens that they actually impede progress of the bees going in. It's a mixed message because I do see some Nasonoff glands going there, like this one right here in the center. And but the rest of them seem perfectly fine just to gather on the front and not go in. I need them to go inside because they're clustering instead, which sometimes when this happens, the reason that they cluster separately could be that you have multiple queens. But in this case, I think we don't. We have just one, and look, it's raining, of course. So we don't want to leave the vacuum out here in the rain with the charger and the remote control and with the cover, of course. Put those away. And this bee lands on my knee and says, "Fred, you need to do something different." And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to move this bucket. I'm going to take the harness off of it. I'm going to take the screen cover out. I'm going to pick this bucket up and I'm going to put it on its side right next to the hive. And look, this is actually the following morning. They were left out here like this all night. This is a game of patience. They could have flown away. They could take off. They don't need to move in. But in this case, I can tell you ahead of time, my idea worked. They're going to move in, and notice I took the harness away and all the electronics because we can't leave that out in the rain. But this is an advantage of a bucket like this. It's weatherproof. So I can put it out here, and this just shows you the bees clustered, and here we are the following day, the 16th, so the hive was collected the 15th. And now it's warming up. And when it warms up, they're going to start moving around. Now they're going to do one of two things. They're going to move inside this hive, or they're going to fly away, and I'm okay with either way that they do it. But look at the Nasonov activity. It's 58.8 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and it's warming up. So as soon as it hits 60 or a little better, let's do a time-lapse sequence and see what the bees do. Do they go in? You bet they do. So did they stay? You bet they did. And today is June the 21st, and they're still there. Some of the things I'd like to point out about this bucket is it's plastic. You can wash it down, you can sanitize it, you can use bleach, whatever you need to do between swarm collections. One thing I wish I had done, I would get extra buckets with extra screens in top. Now this is a flashback we're looking at before the time-lapse sequence to show what Nasonov glands look like, and these are the bees in the entrance, and bees are piling in. They're also flying in from several directions and going in here. And as I mentioned, they stayed. Now here's another example of what might be a swarm that you would need something like this battery-powered vac for. The portability is fantastic. You could hike in the woods with this thing, get on the roof of somebody's house, go in someone's attic, go anywhere you need to be, and collect them with a battery-powered bee vac that you carry on your back. But look, this one's on the ground, so it would be well suited to a bee vacuum, and you don't need the backpack anymore. So look, we just take everything away, put that remote away. Now we just have a nice clean bucket. We have the screen insert, we have the power head with the vac and the control panel and everything else. Test it, turn it on, and I got 2 full swarm collections with the system without recharging. And look how clean and simple this is. Have that in your car ready to go. I'm wearing a Guardian Bee Apparel jacket. If you're getting one bee suit, get a Guardian Bee Apparel bee suit, because you can always put on more clothes if it's cold outside, but the screen vented suits are fantastic. Now we collect a swarm, and look, I learned from my previous mistake. Suck those bees off the top of the vacuum before you get going. What do I think of the Go-Getter Everything Bee Vac? I think it's fantastic. There's nothing more portable. You don't have to ask people if they have a place for you to plug in. You can keep it in the back of your car, and when those swarm calls come in, you're rolling without thinking. Get one, they're fantastic. This one I paid $420 for. So, do I recommend it? Absolutely. What about the Colorado Bee Vac? You should own one of those too, because they're all great if you've got electricity. Thanks for watching.